She recast him. She recast him! If WandaVision's 5th episode didn't make you feel something, you may need to take a trip to the emergency room. The surprise appearance of X-Men's Quicksilver, Evan Peters, in place of MCU Quicksilver, Aaron Taylor Johnson, hit that Marvel sweet spot of humor, emotional resonance, and continuity Easter egg that the fans crave. And of course, now everybody's got questions. Chief among them, who else from the wider MCU and beyond could we see in WandaVision's remaining 4 episodes? The cast have teased a big cameo, hinting that Peters could just be the beginning. So let's dust off that whiteboard, pass the red yarn, come on. So let's face this head on. Will we be seeing Aaron Taylor Johnson reprise his role as the MCU's version of Pietro Maximoff? We still don't know exactly which version Evan Peters is playing, or why we're seeing him as Pietro. It could just be a cute joke, a knowing wink to fans. It could be a hint that the X-Men are on their way. It could be something more sinister. It could be none of the above. But since we haven't definitively heard that Aaron Taylor Johnson will not appear, that means it's possible he might. After all, as well as grieving and resurrecting Vision, Wanda is also grieving her brother, killed during the events of Age of Ultron. It stands to reason that she might try to resurrect him too. So could the appearance of Peters serve a deeper character meaning? Perhaps by creating a version of her brother with the wrong face, Wanda's subconscious is telling her that she shouldn't be messing with the natural order of things by resurrecting the dead. If that were the case, then it might have more resonance if we didn't see Aaron Taylor Johnson. And if we do, we'd probably expect a quick flashback rather than a major appearance. Either way, we'd put fairly even odds on getting at least a glimpse of the MCU's original Pietro. Naturally, now that we've seen one X-Man, maybe, everybody's asking, where's Magneto? And while an appearance from the Master of Magnetism may be an enticing prospect for those well-versed in comics continuity, we're not sure it would work within the context of the show. A quick primer. In the comics, frequent X-Men nemesis Magneto is the father of Wanda and Pietro. This detail was naturally abandoned in the MCU because at the time of the twins' introduction, Marvel still didn't have the rights to use the X-Men. Now that those rights are back with the House of Ideas, could an appearance from Michael Fassbender or even Sir Ian McKellen be in the cards? Well, while it would be foolish to rule it out entirely, we are struggling to see how a Magneto cameo could be anything other than fan service. It would require a lot of exposition to get viewers up to speed, and even once they were up to speed, what character purpose would it actually serve? Wanda has no emotional connection to Magneto, and as this is her story, it would seem odd to introduce this hugely powerful, iconic character only for our primary protagonist to say, okay, who are you? So yeah, we're gonna put this one down as unlikely. Multiple WandaVision cast members have teased the possibility of another mind-blowing cameo, and while it's unlikely that an appearance from the Falcon or the Winter Soldier would blow anybody's minds, it would certainly be neat and perfectly plausible. WandaVision will finish its run on the 5th of March, while Falcon and Winter Soldier will begin airing on Disney Plus a few weeks later on the 19th of March. And like WandaVision, the new limited series takes place after the events of Avengers Endgame. With the show almost overlapping in terms of both setting and air dates, it would fit with Marvel's modus operandi for there to be some sort of link between the two. Perhaps we might get a brief cameo from Sam or Bucky, or a post-credits sting, or even just a background appearance or a phone call. As we said, this probably isn't a cameo that's going to change anything we know about the MCU, but we wouldn't bet against it. The more we think about it, the more an appearance from Benedict Cumberbatch as the Sorcerer Supreme seems to make sense. We saw in WandaVision's latest episode how hopelessly outmatched the likes of Sword are against someone with Wanda's power set. If she's going to continue to hold the town of Westview hostage in sitcom stasis, at some point, the government's gonna have to bring in the big guns. But who? Like Darcy said, Wanda nearly took down Thanos. Captain Marvel could probably handle her, but she's off somewhere in space. Hulk could knock her unconscious, maybe? But A, he probably wouldn't want to, and B, she would not let him get close enough anyway. That really only leaves one candidate powerful enough to face her. Doctor Strange's reality-bending abilities are formidable, and he could probably go toe-to-toe with Scarlet Witch if it came to it. It would be pretty exciting to see. And more importantly, it would serve a purpose. We already know that Wanda is going to appear in the Doctor Strange sequel, though we don't know in what capacity. Friend, enemy, supervillain? Whatever the nature of her role in Multiverse of Madness, it would make sense to set up the dynamic in WandaVision. Rumors have suggested some kind of connection between the TV show and the upcoming movie, so we'd put strong odds on a glimpse of Doctor Strange. Say you want to bring back a familiar face to negotiate with an all-powerful, grieving-enhanced human, but you don't want to go the punch-punch, Shazam-Shazam route? Who could potentially speak to Wanda on a personal level, break down her defenses, and make her see sense? We would not bet against this guy. Now sure, there are some timeline issues here, but a show that brought back a dead Vision and introduced a version of Quicksilver from a separate continuity can probably figure out a way to bring Steve Rogers back from the 1940s, wouldn't you think? It could even be an old Steve, as seen briefly at the climax of Endgame. And why not? Chris Evans has hinted at a possible return, and while we didn't get a huge exploration of Steve's dynamic with Wanda in the previous movies, they did work together for a number of years. A level of trust has been established there, and that trust, combined with Steve's inherent decency, could be enough to talk Wanda down from whatever dangerous thing she might do next. Okay, time to get a bit crazy. It's been an open secret for a while in Hollywood that Tom Cruise is interested in a taste of the Marvel business. In fact, he had his eye on the role of Iron Man years ago, way before Robert Downey Jr. made it his own. And knowing that the next phase of Marvel movies are going to lean heavily on the multiverse side of things, would it be totally insane to imagine a cameo from Cruise as an alternate universe version of Iron Man? Either as a quick cutaway gag or maybe to set up a bigger appearance in the future? It sounds wild, we know, but Marvel can do pretty much anything they want at this point, and Cruise is no stranger to a fun cameo. Just look at his appearances in the likes of Austin Powers 3 and Tropic Thunder. He's a professional, but he's got a sense of humor. We feel like he'd get a kick out of this. And Paul Bettany has mentioned working with a mystery actor on WandaVision, an experience he described as intense. Come on, it would be pretty fantastic, which, reminds us. Now obviously, WandaVision's creators don't want to risk overcrowding their show too much. It's Wanda's story after all. And historically, the MCU's weakest moments have been when they've tried to cram in too much setup and continuity at the expense of the story they're telling. But bearing in mind the recent announcement that the Fantastic Four would be heading to the big screen as part of the MCU, is it too early to expect some sort of appearance from one of them? A walk-on role for a certain Susan Storm, for instance, huh? Or perhaps a sword director Hayward might need to put a call into Reed Richards to get some advice on the situation? This is probably one of our less likely predictions. Fantastic Four is going to be a big deal in the upcoming MCU, and Marvel probably wouldn't introduce such major new characters in a TV show that not everybody is going to watch. But this is the age of crossover. Nothing is impossible. And hey, if nothing is impossible, why not have a cameo from Chris Evans as Johnny Storm, huh? We've already got X-Men Quicksilver walking around after all. Come on, Marvel. Make the Tim Story Fantastic Four movies canon. Maybe we need to lay off the coffee. Anyway, see you next time.